I like his optimism.
Well, hey guys, we're live. Thanks for joining us. Today's special guest is Mark Brooks, down from Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Hello.
We also got Cully Hamner in Austin, Texas.
Hello.
Eric Canete is out in Portland, Oregon, and Klaus Janson is in New York City.
Do you say Oregon? Why are you weird?
Oregon.
That's like asking why is there air?
Morning.
I mean, he's just weird.
It's weird. It's my thing. Have you noticed? So, how's everyone doing today? What's going on? What's new?
Well,
This week.
I got a text from you yesterday saying, "Hey, we're streaming. Would you like to come on?" And I was like, "If Panosian comes back, I'm not." And then you said, "Nope, no Panosian, just the classy ones." And I was like, "Okay, good,
Well,
I'm in."
you know what? This has been popping up on my desktop icon thing all week, and I got to delete it. But we can do a quick,
That's not necessary.
a quick nod to Dan and those sultry eyes of his.
It was such a nice Saturday.
Yeah.
Until what? That popped up?
Yeah.
I want to know why I'm working on a Saturday.
Why are you working on a Saturday morning?
That's right.
Because my wife came down and said, "You're doing a live stream today," and I said, "I am."
There it is. So it's not
That's how it
really
usually
work.
works, right?
It's like hanging out.
Yeah, when Lisa says jump, you say how high.
That's right.
What are you working on, Mark?
It looks like
Yeah,
an
pretty much.
Evangelion piece, no?
I'm doing Unit 01 from Evangelion.
Nailed it.
Nice.
Like, I don't even know if you guys have even heard of it.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it.
Nerd.
Nerd, right? What about
Big
what about you,
nerd.
Cully? What are you doing?
I am doing a Batwoman commission today.
I think that's for Dan for his commission, correct?
Yes, it is.
Oh, very cool.
How long do these normally go for? Are we done?
We're done right now.
4 hours or so.
I just left. It was nice seeing you again, Mark. We'll talk later.
All right.
My conventions
bye, guys.
start up again.
Yeah.
What have you been doing, Mark? We haven't seen you in a while.
He's been growing an amazing
no.
mustache.
How's the
what he's
mustache
been
coming?
doing.
I have. I just spend all day thinking about my mustache, focusing
It
on
looks
it
so
growing.
good, though, man. I mean, I'm not trolling or anything. I swear it looks great on you.
Thank you. And I got to tell you something. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I thought I'd grow a mustache and girls would like it.
But
Only people that like my mustache are dudes.
That's how it works.
you
At
just
least
have
you have
to,
those hands.
you just have to reframe the criteria of success. You know. Now you can say, "Hey, just grew this mustache. So dudes would like it."
Well, you know what? It seems like that's sort of across the board. It's like people are growing beards during this time.
If I was gay, it'd be great.
But it's like, well, that's what it's like a competition with guys. I've already
Yeah.
tapped out. Like I get about 3 weeks in and I can't stand it, so I shave it off.
The beard or the mustache?
Yeah, the beard. Like I had like a full kind of a full face beard going about
You
3
did?
4 weeks worth. Yeah, and I shaved it off yesterday because I just couldn't stand it anymore. I was saying yesterday is I look like a
I'm
Bichon.
sorry, guys. My audio was breaking up like crazy.
It's me.
It's called.
Yeah. No, but it's like the beard is white. I'm like really white. So it just looks like my face is getting bigger, but like, the things on my face aren't getting bigger. So it's a weird effect. So I took it off.
You look good, Cully.
Can you hear me?
Thank you. Klaus, do you have a beard?
Nah. I did for a while. I didn't like the way I looked. I agree with you. It like changes your head.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're a bald guy, which most of us here are.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it makes me look older too.
Right.
Don't you think, Cole?
Yeah, I think it makes you look older.
That was the
No.
best. That was the best setup and lob ever.
I know, right? No, you're totally right though. It's like my beard grows out and I age like 20 years.
Yeah.
Also because like
Wi-Fi.
the more the beard grows, like the less you can see my teeth, so it looks like I've just got like an old man, like a toothless mouth, and it just doesn't work for me.
It's not
Maybe I'm just
flattering.
hypercritical. I don't know.
It's not flattering, is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Cole,
you
that's
agree?
that's your Cintiq behind you, right? Obviously.
Yes.
When'd you buy
I
that?
got nothing.
Oh God, at this point, it's probably been almost 10 years.
Does anybody know
7,
if
8 years.
has there been some sort of a technological update or or upgrade on the Cintiqs?
No, not anything significant or impactful or profound.
Wow, interesting. Because mine's about 10 years old too. So you think, Eric, that's still, as good as it gets.
Yeah, as far as the technology is concerned, the most that they've ever added in recent time is like more pen pressure levels, but there's nothing there that warrants
Right.
Reinvesting another $1,500 to $2,000 into it, right?
It's
If
good.
your Cintiq is working and if you're happy with it, there's no reason to immediately upgrade. I say wait like Tommy for the wheels
For the
to
what?
fall off of it. Wait until the wheels fall off of it and then go buy a new one.
Yeah.
Don't
Where
give
do you
Wacom
go to
any more of your
even
money.
buy a Cintiq these days?
Oh, anywhere. eBay, just anywhere. By the way, if Mark is having technical issues, we have to forgive him because this is pretty typical, right? First time anybody signs on,
Yeah.
always runs into the buzzsaw
Yeah.
of like, I can't hear anybody. Or something like that.
Or we can hear people eating potato chips.
Yep.
That happens
Yeah.
a lot.
Has someone touched base with Dave Johnson just to see if he's okay?
Is he
I
alive?
like how we jump to is he okay? Not is he just like, irresponsible or he's late or whatever. He must be like face down on the floor. Or something.
I immediately opt for death.
All right, I'm trying, guys. Sorry.
We can hear you great.
Yeah, you guys are going in and out. Then it locks up, and then it's you can hear me
Yeah.
continuously.
We can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Your
just type
audio
your
is-
questions. Lisa's sitting here. She can hear me.
Your audio is so good right now. I can hear your heartbeat.
I'm jealous of your audio.
Nice.
Actually.
That's my heart murmur.
Oh, I'm sorry to highlight your medical condition. So yeah, Saturday, hanging out with you fine gentlemen, minus Dave, but also minus Dan. Have you ever recognized that the only reason Dan shows up is because Dave's here?
That could be.
I've never seen
Because they're lovers.
the two of them in the same place at the same time, actually.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think it's as Mark said. They're lovers.
No, I think it's pretty obvious.
They're the same people.
Lovers.
Was this a commission mark or something for fun?
Just for fun. Woke up this morning and I was trying to think of what to draw when Lisa said I was going to do this thing, and I was like, I've been wanting to draw Evangelion for a while now, so I penciled this really quickly this morning.
Now, does it give you confidence that anytime that you draw or put pencil to paper, there's like a cash machine register sound going off in the background?
You know, you guys know Ali Garza. Years and years and years ago, when I was just breaking in and we were hanging out, he said something I've never forgotten. I've always taken it to heart. He said that, we're in the unique position to be able to print our own money. And I've never forgotten that.
Some of us more than others, Mark Brooks. Some of us more than others.
Well, start painting.
Oh boy. It's a tall
Smartest
order.
thing I ever did was start painting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Is that really the smartest thing you've ever done?
Well, I married Lisa. art wise, it's the
There
smartest
it
thing.
is.
Yeah.
That saved the weekend.
Right. I had to give you the opportunity to make up for that because
There it is.
you were gonna get it if you had.
Good.
Actually, there's no way because last week or earlier this week, someone put a status up, and they were obviously making a joke about Guns N' Roses, and they said, "Does anybody know where the grass is green and the girls are pretty?" And I replied and said, "My backyard when Lisa's there."
Oh.
And I
Judge
made
it?
sure to tag her in it, and I was like, "Well, that'll give me some brownie points." Yeah.
She's listening in, right? This isn't some
Oh.
kind of.
No, she's sitting right here next to me.
There you go.
Let's have her on sometime.
She could be on right now. Talk, Lisa.
Screw Mark. Let's have Lisa on.
You hear that?
She's more
Screw
fun to
Mark.
talk to anyway. Screw me.
Let's have Lisa on.
Eric's making notes.
I'm opening up my Word doc right now of the many things that you guys said. Jotting down the notes. Screw Mark. Get Lisa on, period. So yes, last time that I did this wasn't last week, with the week previous, I think, is when Dan decided to quote unquote join us, right? It wasn't by invite. He just kind of,
He muscled his way in.
yeah, he rushed into the room, right?
No,
Now
I invited him. He's always invited.
that exit was strategic. As soon as I saw his name pop up on the fucking screen, I thought, there's other things to do on this Saturday.
Is that jealousy or what's up?
No, I just, I get
He's
my,
just annoying as shit.
like I already handle one kid on any given time, right? And Dan low-key makes everything about himself. You watch, if he shows up today, let's start the egg timer on how quickly he starts saying the words I and me, and
It's
look
true.
what I did. I'm an auteur now.
Earlier in the week, Dave did a sort of his own drink and draw live cast like for the Kickstarter he was doing.
Oh, okay.
And Dave was the host of the thing until Dan showed up,
And then
Dan was the host of the thing,
there you go.
and suddenly Dave couldn't do anything right. It's true.
I give that guy so much grief. Dan. His ears must prick up every single time. It's literally like a countdown from the time that I say his name. I invoke his name. I got to say the full name, though. Dan Panosian. So I invoke his full name, and right now he just snapped out of his bed and was like, "I'm on my way."
Huh? What?
Yeah, someone's talking about me, and I'm not part of the
Alert.
conversation.
His Canete alert went off.
Yeah.
Because he's got one.
He does.
You get bad breath?
Does Lisa have bad breath? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about Lisa's horrible breath. No, she's our dog. Our dog is here, and she's cute, but she stank.
Yeah.
Gotta give her some of those greenies.
We do. Lisa started brushing her teeth.
Okay, that'll help.
It's getting to be bath time for ours, that's for sure.
Yeah. Eric, that's pretty, man.
Yeah, we all have Jim Lee to thank. That's all I do these days. I just turn. I go, who can I copy today? There's the guy.
Could do a lot worse.
Don't you think his sketches have been amazing? Don't you think, Eric?
For his, what do you call it?
Oh,
For
yeah.
the
Yeah,
relief.
the auction thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about printing money?
I saw yesterday that he's raised $600,000,
Jesus.
Really?
That's wonderful.
and he's
It
like,
is-
I think he's like 2/3 of the way through, or something like that.
I think he's done 43 or 44
Out of
sketches out of like 60. I think he's supposed to do.
yeah, that's a lot of money. $600,000.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
to state the obvious, right?
Does anybody know if that is going directly into funding ailing comic book stores, like brick and mortar places?
That's
Or
what, as I understand it, they allocate the money. I think like you have to qualify for it, and then the allocations are anywhere from like $600 to like $2,400.
just making sure, because that
Yeah.
organization that he's donating that money to isn't exclusively comic book centric, right?
No,
That's
but I think this fund is for comic book stores.
It is when
Yeah.
when they donate the money, they don't they mention where that it goes to the the specific fund that
Yeah,
So it's not
That's
just a
perfect.
blanket donation.
right.
I did hear, and I don't know if it's true or not, but that a lot of the not a lot, but a certain percentage of that money for the BINC, I think it is,
Yeah.
goes to overhead and
It does.
I mean it isn't completely
Well, sure, but it's just like any other charitable organization. I mean, anytime you give to a charitable, like an organization like that, they have overhead. I mean,
for sure.
you know, they're
Well,
always going to have staff and all that kind of stuff.
no, that's definitely right. I was just surprised at the percentage of the ratio.
What's the
Yeah.
percentage?
Yeah, I think it's like-
forget, but it seemed a little high to me.
I heard, to keep in mind, all grain of salt, because the guy that was spreading that information was a comic skater, but
Right.
it was they were saying 60% goes to the comic shops and 40% is administration, overhead, and all that stuff. But no, that wouldn't be backwards. I mean, if it's backwards, that's worse. 40% goes to the shop and 60% goes to administration costs. That's
I mean,
bad.
that's just not a good look. Period.
It's not.
If
I
more
heard it
money-
the other way.
Oh.
If I heard Lisa in the background, I think it's the other way. I think it's 60% to their organization, 40% to. Now, all that information is readily available on their website. They've released all their documentation as a they're not a not-for-profit, right?
Yeah, they're nonprofit.
Well, there's a difference between a nonprofit and a not-for-profit. There's actually a legal difference. I'm not sure exactly what they are.
That does not take away from Jim Lee's exercise of raising money for people.
Absolutely, I agree. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from the feat of doing all the drawings he's done, and actually the quality of them are just stunning.
I
Eh.
agree. Yeah.
Really?
I just like being controversial, Cully.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but I think it really does show, in a lot of ways, it proves how talented he is. Those sketches, more than anything, in the last couple of years, they're really amazing.
Oh, stunning, yeah.
Yeah, I suspect it's that shitty inker that's ruining his work.
Oh boy. Fucking Scott just snapped out of bed right now.
Love you, Scott. Love you. We do love Scott.
You're going to get a phone call, Klaus.
Scott is welcome anytime.
Angry
a
text.
single tear falls from his cheeks into his like soggy bowl of cereal as Klaus said that out loud.
Yeah, that's right.
Left to his own devices, Jim Lee could be something. You look at some of those sketches, you go like, that guy.
He could be quite successful in comics if he worked at it.
If he ever put
I think he should have stuck with a medical school.
if he ever put his massive ego aside, he could actually be a publisher somewhere, I think.
I think he's doing okay.
That's the best understatement ever. He's doing all right.
I was going to say, if that's just okay, I'm screwed.
He's doing remarkably okay.
There it is.
Hey, has anybody heard if any conventions are being held, or are they all canceled for the year?
New York hasn't shut anything down yet, right?
Yeah, they're holding out
I
till
think that's
they.
right.
Is it a what is it? Is it a not a liability thing, but you know what I mean? Is it a deposit thing that they're putting down into the Javits Center? They're trying to make sure that they're
It probably
inside
is.
the window. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean they the way it works is they need basically the government to say you can't hold this, or at least put out some kind of disclaimer. But the thing is, because so many states are coming out of lockdown now, I think there's a good chance that New York is going to have to go on in some capacity. Otherwise, they're going to lose just a ton of money.
But I mean, who in the right mind at this point, this early, would go to that show, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I would. I'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even beyond just the idea of being in a convention space with that many people, the flying thing, the being in airports thing, just kind of, I don't know. I feel really weird about all of it.
Well, yeah. I'm waiting for wave 2 to hit because I think that it's coming any more.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, Chris,
you're saying there's a wave 2 forthcoming, Mark.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Sure. That's what I'm saying.
Really?
It is probably here's what's probably going to happen because it is summer, and as dumb as Trump is, he did say one thing that it was worded badly, but he is right. When the weather warms up, it does have a tendency to lessen the flu or a corona-like virus.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know that they know enough about this virus to say that it will happen with this one, but because it's a coronavirus, there's a good chance that the summer months it will lessen, even if we do come out of lockdown and people stop wearing masks and all that stuff. But that doesn't mean that, once we hit September, October, November, it comes back in a hurry thanks to cooler temperatures. So, who knows?
I mean, if you think about it, we'll all be inside more, and that's from what I've been reading lately. Is it seems like it's more communicable indoors than outdoors.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what we're left with. Is when a lot of people are outside, it's going to be a little less of a thing. And you might see you might see a rollback, but it's going to come back strong, I think.
Yeah.
Let me, if I may say, the most recent data says that a transmission is more likely depending on the amount of time that you spend with a person who is positive and the amount of expulsion in terms of, coughing or loud talking. So a restaurant apparently is more susceptible to being contagious than a gym, because a restaurant you spend more time in one place, in one position, in one spot. So it has a lot to do with the amount of virus that a person expels and the amount of time you spend with that person. And one of the interesting things about Florida and the idea that heat may diminish its potency, the conjecture is that Florida may not have been hit as hard because of the fact that it's humid and extremely warm this spring.
Right.
If nothing else, I want us all to remember the emphasis that Klaus just put on the word expulsion, and the little fucking tingle that went through my body when he said that.
Yeah.
I would say, though, it seems to me that gyms would be incredibly contagious areas because you have body fluids. First off, you have sweat.
Yes.
There you go. And then you have, but then you also have heavy breathing. So you have body fluids and heavy breathing. It seems to me that would be just a recipe for just a virus all in the air.
I mean, look, if that was the case, Mark, then your studio would be like ground zero, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be if I ever allowed anybody down here.
Yeah, but it's just all your own body fluids and heavy breathing.
Oh, they're everywhere.
So much heavy breathing.
Lots of heavy breathing.
That's all we do in that studio is breathe heavy.
It is. I can masturbate to my own artwork. I'm awesome.
Hey, no one said anything about masturbating, Mark. You brought that to the table yourself.
I think that's well deserved. Way to bring that up, Mark. Nice
full
support.
Chris did mention Tampa Bay convention still on the
Yeah, I
docket to
heard
go.
that. I heard that.
So
When is that? In June, July?
I think it's July.
Yikes.
So it's that's not going to be a good one.
You know, I hate to say this, but I'm also happy to say this. I'm kind of glad San Diego was canceled. It's going to be really nice to not have to go anywhere in July.
How
Yeah,
much
that's a
level
silver
of
lining.
stress does that put on your plate at any given year when you go to that show, Mark? Is it crazy?
Oh no, it's absolutely nuts. I pretty much have to make sure everything that I need to get done is done 2 weeks before San Diego, so that I can just work on San Diego stuff.
Right.
You know,
And we're talking about taking things off of your desk for that whatever week, right? Or 2 weeks, only
Yeah.
to put things on your desk once you get to the show, right?
oh no, absolutely.
That's crazy.
No,
That's-
well, you guys do the same thing. I mean, you know,
Not me.
No,
Nope. I don't go to that fucking show.
it's such a huge part of my income every year.
Yeah, I
that
could. Yeah, yep. I
I
understand.
have to.
Yep.
I'm pretty glad that we don't have to go to San Diego. I mean, I'd prefer if it was, on, but taking a little break might be nice.
Yeah.
There was a really interesting article about how people establish new patterns and new habits. And the conjecture is that a lot of us are not going to go back to our prior life, that we're going to get used to being in the house or not going to see movies or not, going to restaurants. And I found that fascinating because I'm slowly starting to, sink into that, If I never get on a plane again, I think I'd be okay with that.
Well, I mean, we as humans, we are creatures of habit. We are
Exactly right.
We have something that a lot of other animals don't have or don't have as easily, which is our ability to learn and adapt. We adapt better than any other species on the planet. It's why we are in every area of the planet. And so we have a tendency, there's an old saying that, not a saying, but a story of the goldfish. A goldfish grows to the size of its environment. So a goldfish can be the size, it'll be in a bowl or put it in a pond, and the goldfish will continue to grow until it's only big enough for that pond. And we as human beings, we do the same thing. We goldfish ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I will say, we're also the most social creatures on the planet. So it's like there's that instinct to contend with as well.
Right.
And it makes me wonder, like the two of these things in conflict. It's also kind of why you see a lot of people, putting aside the evidence and saying, I'm going to go outside and do whatever I want, and I've got to go see people and
You've got to get arrested, apparently.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
on their
By the
last
way,
name?
yeah.
Who's dying right now?
Was that
Who's
somebody's
dying?
ringtone or?
Getting arrested.
Who's getting arrested?
No, it's me. Hold on. There's
Jason, knock it
people
off.
outside my window. Hold on.
Yeah. By the way, so
By the way,
yes,
if you're that's a dead giveaway, Jay, to jump out of your house when things are on fire.
I have to point out, or I have to bring this up because it was a very interesting morning. I got a text earlier from my neighbor across the street, and he was like, "Come look outside." And I went out into my front yard, and there are cops and ambulances everywhere.
Ooh, is everyone
And I
okay?
was like, "What the hell's happened?" And turns out, some dude just walked up to their front door. And whipped it out and just started masturbating right there for like 15 minutes until the cops got there.
COVID-19.
And oddly
ladies
enough,
and
I was still
gentlemen.
able to get back to Atlanta to start the live stream.
Mark spreading his fluids all over the country. Yeah, so that was interesting. That was my morning.
Did you stay the entire time to watch, or?
I didn't need to.
Oh, all right.
Cully
Pretty
joined
much,
in.
you've pretty much seen that movie already.
He yelled
You know how that-
ensemble and ran outside and started
You
hearing
know
some
how that story
masturbating.
ends.
I gave him a standing ovation.
Well played, sir. That second act needed a little help, but that third act stuck that fucking ending.
Yeah.
We just had our neighbor set their yard on fire.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we have people just moved in next door to us, and they have their one of their mothers lives with them, and I guess they were away from the house, and the mother was out front smoking and just tossed her cigarette off the porch and
boy.
lit the entire side of their yard and tree on fire.
Where's Frank Thierry when you need him?
All right, Mark, you know what you're in for then.
Yeah, pretty much. No, we ended up talking to the neighbors. They were pretty embarrassed. I have not seen the mother-in-law outside smoking since then.
Oh, really? You think they took care of her? Think they got rid of her?
They might have.
Cully, immediately went to murder. You just kind of slapped me on the hand about Dave Johnson.
Well, never let me say that I'm not a hypocrite.
Jason, I
what's
swear to
happening
God,
there?
if you are burning your family alive right now, it doesn't need to be on camera as evidence.
The neighbors are having a birthday drive-by, so the police and fire department and neighbors were honking.
They're having a drive-by birthday?
Yeah, apparently no one told them we're trying to live stream today.
That's
So.
adorable.
I bet they don't follow you on
so
your social
I-
media. Jason.
We
When
did that
did-
for one of Jack's friends had a drive-by birthday.
When did this become a thing? Like, I've never heard of this drive-by thing before. Like this week.
Until recently,
It's a
due
pandemic.
to
I think it's a pandemic thing.
Yeah, it's the pandemic.
Can't
all
wait
right,
for
we
this thing
get
to
it.
be
He's
over.
14. Shut the fuck up already. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Eat your cake and hot dogs and shut the fuck up.
We're trying to draw.
Dave
Mo
Johnson, how dare you say that out loud?
Mo went to go take care of it. And Cooper.
You sick the dogs on.
You just let the dogs out. Exactly.
Oh yeah, where is Dave?
Dave just texted. He wasn't feeling well. I think he got the COVID.
It's only funny until it's true.
Until Dave doesn't go outside.
He got the Rona.
He wasn't feeling well, so he apologizes and said he'll come back next week.
Whatever, Dave.
It's a birthday.
Yeah, I saw.
I'm sure he's watching now, right?
Emma across the street.
That was really harsh. I feel bad. That kid could have, that kid lived another year. Congratulations, 14-year-old. I fully support your obnoxious birthday celebration. Oh, holy poop. In about 15 minutes, I mean to excuse myself. I know this is a short stream for me, but something just popped up on my calendar that I can't get out of.
Uh-oh.
I had completely forgotten about it until now.
You have an appointment to masturbate on someone's doorstep?
Yeah, I'm meeting up with Dave.
Oh.
To masturbate on someone's doorstep.
And to masturbate on someone's doorstep, right?
That was supposed to be a flash masturbation, but I missed the plane.
It's a drive-by.
Anyway, we're going to do round 2 for you, Cully. We'll be there by 7 p.m.
Well, we'll miss you.
We'll just start talking about you.
There
Ready
you
to
go.
leave.
Like we do.
That's
with
We
Dave.
do have pictures.
Like
Like this one.
Do that. Oh,
We
please
just
don't
saved
show that picture again. That's not even fucking... I feel
Lisa.
really bad for that lady.
Maybe Lisa wants to send us some embarrassing pictures of Mark so we can put it up to compare him to Dan's and Dave's.
This one,
I normally share my own.
I was going to say this would require Mark having the ability to be embarrassed, which I'm not sure really is something he's capable of.
It's something I'm trying to teach my son, because Jack is pretty sensitive about being made fun of, or like general ribbing. He gets to be a little sensitive, and I'm like, buddy, the best lesson I could teach you as a father is make fun of yourself before anyone else gets a chance to.
Oh, this is true.
That's the best lesson, because
Best lesson?
you're sure not going to teach him how to build anything. That's for sure.
You teach him karate. That'd be good too.
Jesus Christ.
Teaching courage.
Mark, I fully support that lesson. These
You're
guys
not
came
gonna-
down on you like a hammer, but
You're not going to teach him to like how to shave or anything. You're just going to
I'll teach him that when it comes,
Teach him how to
but-
make fun of himself.
right.
Respect women. What?
When I was a
Thing
young
is,
man, my father.
the setup was like quite perfect. Mark was being vulnerable, sharing this like story that he's having with his kid. And the rest of you guys are like, "That's what you're gonna fucking teach him, you piece of shit!
What a horrible father!
What a fucking awful parent!"
Do better, Mark.
Time's up.
You guys are tough.
Be best.
Yeah, be best. Hilarity.
Have you guys heard that term used in Overdose recently? The term, the what do you call it? The saying "do better."
Do better.
Yeah, have you ever heard that? I mean, the people have been using that over and over lately, and I'm just kind of sick of it.
Oh, so you're saying that I should shut up? Is that what you're saying?
Nah, not you specifically, but
Okay.
the general you.
I don't use do better. What I'll do is if someone is just being just a complete piece of shit, I'll comment to them, and then my last thing I'll say be better. Be better, not do better. Just as in be a better fucking person.
Sure.
You know.
I'm all down with do better. What's next steps for you after the line art market? Are you rendering it in
Yeah,
marker?
I'll probably do some marker and acrylic and watercolor and whatever.
There you go.
Whatever works.
Crayon.
Pretty much every piece I do is. I don't think I've done a piece in the last 3 years that hasn't involved at least 3 different mediums.
What is that? Is that just a preference thing that you're trying to keep yourself interested?
No, just whatever I find works in the moment.
Gotcha.
Because gouache goes down thicker and more vibrant than watercolor, but watercolor mixes better than gouache. But marker, has a more variable color range.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot to it.
I don't think I've ever sat down and watched you do your process, man. So screw this stream. I'm gonna stop drawing. Jason, don't switch away from this fucking angle. I know, I get it. Cully, Batwoman, yada yada. Klaus what's Klaus drawing?
You don't even care what Klaus is drawing.
Here's drawing.
Yeah, there you go.
This is it. This is my drawing. That's what you get.
Young lady. I feel awful.
I think
Every
Klaus is
time that
black
you
last
flash that young woman's picture, somewhere out there, she's dying a little bit.
I love that shot of Arthur Adams from back in the early 80s.
With
the one with Mike Mignola?
Yes, I think everybody needs to change that to your profile picture on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I don't know which image it is. Which image is it?
Someone said Eric.
I'd be down for that.
It's the best image ever.
Frank Cho keeps posting it.
I'll look it up.
Oh, I saved it to my phone I was like,
Okay.
oh, this is going to come in very handy.
Art Adams and who?
An evil man. Mike
That's
Mignola.
Mike Mignola.
What was that?
No, I'm getting texts.
Why are you disturbing our live stream with your texts?
I'm sorry. I just muted them. They've been muted. Let's see if Klaus is. Yeah, Klaus is.
Speaking-
Your stream is getting a little garbled there.
Who, me?
Yeah, I think maybe
No,
just
the other
connection.
Klaus.
The other Klaus. Yeah.
The Klaus
No,
next to you.
It's fine on this end.
That's all that matters, Klaus. Shut up, Jason.
Klaus, they don't do those Marvel boot camps anymore, do they?
Now, there's been a few without me, but I don't think they do it, on a consistent basis.
Those
I don't
were
think
so helpful. I don't know why they stopped.
For those of
I
us
don't
who don't
think-
know,
I don't-
what's a Marvel boot camp?
It was really cool. They get 4 or 5 artists that were exclusive with Marvel, and you go up to the Marvel offices in New York, and Marvel puts you up, and you're up there for what, Klaus, 4 days or so?
Yeah, about 4 days, 3-4 days. Yeah, DC does them for 2 weeks. Marvel does them for like 4 days. Yeah.
I don't think DC does them anymore either.
No, you're right.
I think
But,
it's an expense that they can't really justify right now.
Well, back in the day, Eric, they would do them, and they were taught by Klaus and Howard Chaykin, and you basically
How
go
awesome is
in.
that?
Oh, it's great. And the first day, I mean, it's grueling because you go in and you don't know what to expect, and you walk in there, and Howard and Klaus pass out boards, and they're like, "You've got 90 minutes, draw 4 pages." And you got to pump out 4 pages, and they give you a script, of course. And you got to pump out 4 pages in 90 minutes, Klaus, an hour, something like that.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And,
You bastard, Klaus.
oh, it's grueling, man. It's really grueling. And then you hang them up on the wall, and Klaus and Howard do their best to make you cry.
Oh boy.
And you do that for 3 days, and you just go through storytelling and layouts, and they have guest speakers come in, and it was really cool.
Now it sounds like you went through it, Mark.
I did. Yeah. Me, Ryan Stegman, Philip Tan. Who else was in there with us? Oh, Mitch Brettweiser and somebody else. I can't remember who the other person was.
Jokes aside, that's pretty awesome. Klaus, what kind of kick did you get making the kids cry?
Clayman was one of them. There were a whole bunch of people.
Marko Djurdjevic went through it at one point, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
He's the one that spent 3 days arguing with Howard, I believe.
that is correct. Yes, that is correct. I think he really. How should I say that? I think he shot himself in the foot.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure he recovered from that, actually.
Howard?
In terms of reputation.
No, Howard spent 3 days making fun of my accent, which was fun.
Your accent is fun.
Yeah.
Mark, did you think that Howard and I had like a good cop, bad cop, didn't we? Routine or?
Oh no, you absolutely did. I equate it to it was like a mother and father, because you had Howard would smack you on the back of the head, and then Klaus would come along and ask if you're okay.
So it wasn't like bad cop, worst cop.
Yeah, I felt
No,
that.
it really was good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. That was fun.
Oh, it was a good time. I mean, I'm joking around because I mean the thing about Howard, you guys all know, is he's a royal ball buster, but he'll take as good as he gives.
Yeah. Yeah, you just can't take him that seriously, if you know what I'm saying. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to understand what he's doing. Yeah.
I mean, luckily I knew Howard before the boot camp. We had hung out at some shows together, and had some really great conversations. So
Right.
I kind of knew who he was.
Yeah,
before
if
I
you
got
go in there without knowing Howard, I mean, I assume everyone knows Howard, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah. If you go in there without knowing him, you know, you're kind of stunned, I think.
Yeah,
Why? What does he do?
he just busts your balls. He's very honest, and he's very Howard. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, there's really nobody like Howard,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Oh.
I love the guy. I think he's awesome.
He is awesome. Smart.
I just learned very quickly not to argue with him.
You just got to learn how to argue with him. There is a for lack of a better term, there's like a skill set to arguing with him. It's like it takes a long time to learn it. He lives about 2 miles from Elise's parents. So like whenever we visit Elise's family, like I usually at some point will cut out and go have breakfast with Howard or hang out with him somehow. And yeah, we usually have a blast. Yeah.
Doesn't he live in like wine country, you know, in between LA and San Francisco or someplace?
No. He lives in Ventura. Yeah, he's a little south of wine country, but he lives in Ventura on the beach, basically. He's got a little beach house.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Oh no, it's a nice place.
Every time I see Howard, his pants get higher.
That's his peak. That's like his temper. Like when his temper's up, his pants get higher.
You can watch him ride up.
Yeah. When he calms down, they
All right, gentlemen, have a great weekend. Thank you
Hey,
for
see you
letting me
later,
hang out
Eric.
with
See
you.
you, Eric. Have a good one.
Later.
Bye, Eric.
Glad that son of a bitch is gone.
He's so loud.
Such a Brady voice.
I know.
He's smooth. He's got that microphone filter. Makes him sound better.
No, I mean his voice actually does sound very soothing.
He talks like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be like a meditation app.
Yeah.
He could.
Jason, what's on the mind of our audience today?
Well, let's see. Let's see a few questions. Let's see. Question to Mark. What are your tips for getting blood out of whites?
Ginger ale, club soda, Tide stick, buy a new shirt. That's all I got. Salt.
That's it.
Avoid vampires.
Avoid vampires.
Blood out of whites? You mean like clothing?
No,
I guess-
like white people. Stab them.
A knife would probably,
Knife, gun, sharp object.
yeah.
Let's see. Any questions from the viewers here? What have you always wanted to ask Mark Brooks? Or Cully?
3 inches but thick.
Oh, that's the pencil that you use.
Like a Coke can.
Well, thanks for coming by, everybody. It was really great to be on the stream. No,
Yeah, it's a little quiet.
No questions?
Let's see.
I think you pretty much answered the burning question, Mark.
I think I did. All right, I'm going to start asking questions.
Well, someone.
Cully,
Wait. Before that, Mark, someone's asking how your mustache is coming. Can we get a picture of your stash?
I don't. It's not waxed right now, so it's a little gnarly looking. But
it's unkept.
Can you look into the camera and say, "I'd buy that for $1"?
It's not that bad. I'll pound your nose. But it's coming along nicely.
Everyone's asking how Jack is as well.
Jack is awesome. Jack has decided that he's going to spend his summer getting better at bass, and he wants to be a professional Rocket League player. So he has been practicing Rocket League, and I've been coaching him.
What is Rocket League?
It's a game you play on Xbox. Sorry, that's Lulu. It's a game you play on Xbox, but it looks like a soccer field, so you kind of like you're playing soccer. But the players are all cars, so you're this car zipping around the field trying to knock a ball into the other goal, and it's normally 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. And the cars can jump and flip to like kick the ball, so you can do like aerials with it. And it's a competitive game to the point that like you ever see those video game competitions where people play in front of huge audiences and make like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
That's Rocket League is one of those games. And Jack really loves it. And he's been looking up professional Rocket League players and he wants to get really good at it. So he's kind of making that his goal.
What's funny is that my first reaction to that, I have to admit, my immediate reaction to that mentally was, that's a job? But then then it reminded me that that's what my parents said to me about drawing comics.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I gotta admit, I've been playing with him some. It's a really fun game.
Yeah.
I was playing with Dave a few weeks ago with it. I could not get the grasp of it.
I mean, there's definitely a strategy to it, and that's what he's been working on is his
Right.
strategy. Like you actually play a position. You don't just run around the field. Jack is the center, so you think of it like a basketball team. So he'll play the center and plays goalie, and he's getting good.
How good a bass player is he now?
He's very good, actually. He's trying to. What's that song he's trying to learn, Lisa? Remember what it's called?
Is it a rock song?
Yeah, no, the one he keeps playing for us, the bass solo song, the one that's like all bass. It starts off with a walking. Anyway, no, but he's doing great. He's in a rock band, and they just played. What was the Tom Petty song they played? I don't know. Anyway, he's getting really good. He really likes it.
Cool.
Yeah, and he has a new bass on the way that he's very excited about.
What kind of bass is it?
It's a Chowney. His first base is a Chowney. It's an English company. One of the guys that used to be one of the designers and engineers for Fender left Fender and started his own bass company.
Cool.
2015. And he's got a semi-hollow core electric bass right now that's really nice, but he's really getting into slapping. And a semi-hollow core, the frets are too close to where you would slap.
Right.
And so he wants a slap bass. So that's what he's got coming.
You still play drums, Mark?
I haven't played in years. I've been thinking about getting a set though. I have a spare room down here in my studio that I kind of want to make a music room for Jack. So I was thinking that if I do that, I'm probably going to get a drum set to go in there as well, just so I can.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like you'd have a whole rhythm section if the two of you had your instruments going.
Lisa can be on vocals. She can sing.
Lisa can sing. Lisa actually, when she was in high school, Lisa went to Governor's Honors program for voice. Lisa's an amazing singer.
I think you got the makings of a Partridge Family.
I think we might. We need to have a girl and play electric guitar. We'd be good to go.
Great singer.
Cully is a great singer. Yeah, if we need like rock opera, Cully's the man.
You teach the dog to play guitar.
We're still pretty confident that you guys made Lisa go into labor with Jack with your singing, Cully.
What?
Remember Paul Jenkins' party, the karaoke?
Oh God, yeah.
Because
Yeah, I
you were
remember
in
that.
labor like a day later.
Well, what I remember about that is that we're all trying to figure out what to sing, and Tony Chastain, thinking he was going to be a smart guy, challenged me to sing 18 in Life.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, that's right. You are
And I did it.
Oh, you didn't just do it; you killed it.
it was amazing.
The thing about I'm not like a particularly good singer. I just have a range. That's all. I can do high notes, but I'm not like someone who I can hit a key and I can hit a note, but I can't really. I don't have that dexterity that some people do.
That's still pretty good. I mean, hitting a key and hitting a note's pretty much all that matters, right?
Yeah, and looking good.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Hey, listen here, Coke Can. What are you talking about?
Well, the Howard, does he play an instrument or anything?
Howard? I don't think so.
I mean,
What?
Klaus? Klaus, you play any instruments?
Yeah, I play guitar, piano, and accordion.
You play accordion?
Well, I used to. It's been a while, but yeah.
Was that
I
the
was just
German?
saying, we
the
need an
German-
accordion player.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
No one needs an accordion player.
Weird Al Jankovic.
And that's pretty much why I stopped. I used to go to, when I was taking accordion, I used to go to competitions and we would have accordion offs.
Really?
Yeah.
They get violent.
No, it wasn't like the Jets in the, like West Side Story.
You guys had your lederhosen.
That is
We're gonna play accordion tonight. Accordion tonight. Hey, when you're an accordion player, you're an accordion player for life. All the way.
Let's see. There's a few questions coming in. Chris is asking if Mark will be doing any more remarks on Tool posters. Those have been awesome.
Yeah, I still have a bunch more to do. I've got how many do I have to do, Lisa? Like 3 or 4?
Got 4 or 6 lined up.
4 or 6?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a lot lined up. So yeah, I'll be doing more.
they going to be auctioned?
No, these are all
These are all
pre-sold.
Pre-sold. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Once I did the live stream where I did like 2 of them, the emails came flooding in, and so it actually was a really great thing because I held off on, because they gave us 50 posters each from the signed from the concerts, and we held off. We just kind of just sat on them for a while, and thank God we did, because they've pretty much gotten us through this whole pandemic, stuck at home, no cons thing.
I can imagine. I'm assuming you're feeling some, I don't know, some stress over the convention season being canceled, basically.
No, I mean, actually, oddly enough, I've sold a decent number of covers since in the last couple of months, and the tool remarks of that's been a real boom. So yeah, and I've still got my regular cover gigs, so it's I've been okay.
So there's no pencils down on anything that you were working on?
No, I think that was kind of the benefit of being a cover artist, is that they always need covers, and the kind of covers I do generally are just kind of like pin-uppy covers. So it's not like they're like, oh, we need this for this issue, and this issue's canceled, therefore we don't need your cover. They're just like, well, you're drawing Iron Man or Spider-Man, we'll just plug it wherever we get the chance to plug it.
Yeah. I had one cover gig like that go away for Marvel. It was specific to a miniseries.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it may come back. I have no idea. But I have to say, I mean, I'm one of the lucky ones too. It's like I've got jobs in front of me, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Now let's hope that they stay around.
Well, I think they will. I mean, the Marvel is going back to shops next week. In fact, I just recorded a video. Yeah. They got a bunch of us to record a video for Marvel, saying that being like, hey, May 27th, comics are back.
Right.
And I think they're going to put that out Monday or something like that. So
is that the first day, Mark? Next week?
For Marvel, it is. I think DC's already been coming out.
Yeah.
There's already comic shipping this week.
Yeah, but I think that's the big, everything's back.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be good. Yeah, I mean, I got a new cover gig already. I'm the new cover artist on Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. So
like the regular covers, or the variant.
Regular.
Nice.
So in fact, I'll give the few people watching a sneak peek.
How many people are watching?
4 million.
That looks great.
That's cool. It's the classic FF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first cover. I got to finish that this weekend, hopefully.
Very cool. Who's the main artist and writer on it?
Was Dan Slott's the writer. I'm not sure who the artist is, because I'm coming on with issue 25. So mine's going to still be I'm doing this for previews, so I don't know if the artist will change by then. I know Paco Medina was the artist there for a while, but I'm not sure if he's still the man.
I'm looking forward to Neil Adams' FF.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I've never been a huge FF fan. I'm kind of like trying to force myself into liking them. That's why I'm spending so much time on these covers. I'm like trying to convince myself that they're good.
I can get that. Yeah, I understand that.
I have liked certain teams on FF a lot. I mean, like when in the 80s, like when I was a teenager, I was a big fan of the Byrne FF stuff. People talk about like the long Stan and Jack run, and it was great. But my long run of FF that I liked when I was young was the John Byrne stuff. And then later on, like the Wade Ringo stuff really grabbed me. And that was not just because Mike and I were friends, but because that was great stuff,
Oh, he was an amazing artist.
That was a great run. It was just like, on every level. I mean, Mark did a great job with the story too.
Mm-hmm.
Just really good stuff. If you could pick a formative run of stuff that really spoke to you when you were into comics as a young person, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. The Claremont run of Uncanny X-Men, specifically the Mark Silvestri time period.
And what was it about that you liked?
They did the Outback Saga. They did Fall of the Mutants. They did. There was another storyline I can't remember. But anyway, it had the best lineup. It was Storm, Colossus, Wolverine, Havoc, Dazzler, Psylocke, Rogue. I mean, it was my favorite X-Men lineup of all time. The artwork was just. I mean, the artwork previous to that was done by guys like Alan Davis, who I really loved. I mean, Alan Davis was my first X-Men artist. One of the first artists I really encountered in comics. But there was a kinetic style to Silvestri that no other artist was doing. It was elongated and scratchy and rough, but really stylized, and had so much energy to it. And it was just it melted my my 7th, 8th grade brain.
That stuff was inked by Dan Green, was it not?
Maybe.
Klaus, do you remember? Is Klaus there?
He's there. I know Dan Green did a few. Panosian also inked some of those because I had a few pages back in the day from him.
He inked some of the Silvestri stuff on X-Men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Does he still have any? Can I buy some from him?
He might have some buried around. The last few pages I had sold a few years ago, but they were background stuff, nothing splashy.
I honestly wouldn't care what it is. I just love to own a page from one of the books that influenced me so much.
My my X-Men run was my first X-Men artist was Paul Smith.
It feels like that's most people's first X-Men artist.
There are a lot of people for where it was burned. Like a lot of people, when I actually asked this on, or talked about this on Twitter the other day. Most of the responses I got were people were saying that their first X-Men artist was John Byrne.
Yeah.
And mine was Paul Smith. I backtracked to Byrne and bought back issues, but Paul Smith was, to this day, he's my favorite X-Men artist. Paul Smith and Bob McLeod.
Who was the artist on New Mutants back in the day? His style was really scratchy and kind of cartoony, but really dark.
Sienkiewicz.
Yeah,
No,
Sienkiewicz.
not Sienkiewicz. I know his run. This was not Sienkiewicz. This stuff was more cartoony, but really scratchy.
The only ones I can think of are Sienkiewicz, and I think the first artist on that book was Bob McLeod.
Are you thinking somebody like Kyle Baker?
Maybe it was Kyle Baker. I'm gonna look it up right now because it's gonna bug me till I know.
Brett Blevins, Jim is saying.
Oh, Brett Blevins is great. That guy can really draw.
Let me see. This may take me a second. I loved Art Adams' run on all the New Mutants annuals he did. That was amazing too. Okay, let's see. New Mutants number 80 had him draw it. So let me look that up.
I don't want to know now. I'm bored. Just forget it, Mark.
This thing doesn't. Let's see. Brett Blevins. That's who it was.
Hey,
Yeah,
let's see who wins the prize.
yeah, he was great.
Jim Reddington wins the prize.
Yay! What's the prize?
Oh, oddly enough,
Mark's-
I didn't know.
Mark's FF
Al
cover.
Williamson inked that stuff.
Al Williamson, man, loved Al Williamson. I used to love his, obviously his Marvel Super Special stuff with the Star Wars stuff. I had a Flash Gordon graphic novel that was like an adaptation of the movie that he did. That was awesome.
He was my
Sounds
biggest
awesome.
influence when I did Han Solo.
Al Williamson.
Yeah.
That's a good influence.
Oh, his stuff was just stunning.
Yeah. His Empire Strikes Back adaptation was just amazing. Also, obviously, it was a pretty prolific inker. He inked one of my favorite runs of Daredevil, next to Klaus, obviously.
Over John.
Over John. That
Yeah.
that was great stuff.
Yeah, they made a great pairing, the two of them.
Yeah. Would you say he's an easy ink, Klaus?
Who, John?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think
No?
so, Cully. Yeah, I wouldn't use the word easy. I don't think so. What do you think? I mean,
I've never inked him, so I
when
don't
you
know.
look at his pencils, what do you think?
I wouldn't think he'd be. I mean, because really, his stuff is so stylistic, and I don't know. I wouldn't know how to approach inking him. But then again, I mean, I don't really ever ink anyone else, so I don't really.
Right.
I wouldn't know how to approach that because I ink me, but I ink me like me. You know, I don't have to worry about it
Right.
not looking like me.
The only reason I say that he may not be easy to ink is because I've seen a lot of people ink him and not get it. You know,
Yeah.
not get him.
Yeah.
So when I look at other people inking him, I think, oh, you know, that must be, you know, tough.
What is it about him do you think that people don't get?
Line weights. You know, I think he a lot of John's work is dependent on understanding that he's a very how should I say it? He's a very three-dimensional penciler in the sense that he does foreground, middle ground, background, but he does it with his figures and with his line work. So there's always a lot of volume and a lot of dimensionality to his figure work. And if you're going to ink it all in one line, you're missing that. You know, I couldn't imagine, you know, inking him in with just, you know, one consistent line weight.
Yeah.
I think you'd lose a lot of his power.
I've never understood inking in one consistent line weight, period. Like sort of deadline. I've never understood that kind of inking. I mean, I guess it works on some people.
Well, no, I deadline.
Well, it's
but I
you know what's
deadline
interesting
because
about that is that what I've always found interesting is just that you still have the same problems to solve, and so somehow, even if you're using, you know, the same line weight, you still are responsible for creating depth.
Yeah.
And so you can't, you know, escape that. You can't get away from that.
Right.
So that, you know, there's different ways of doing it, I guess, you know, with the same line weight.
Mark, you were saying you ink with dead lines?
Well, I do because I'm painting on top of it.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say. Is like you've got a lot more that you can do with dimensionality and with you know, foreground, background with color than you would do if you're just doing ink.
Exactly. But I when I do ink, on the rare occasion when I do ink and plan to just, like, you know, color, you know, Photoshop or whatever,
Right.
I take that stuff into account, and you know, I try to do some nice line variations.
I was thinking a lot about, you know, what Cully said last week about Walt Simonson. And I mean, I wouldn't mind hearing, you know, what people thought about, you know, what are Walter's attributes? You know, what makes Walter as good as he is?
From me or from the room?
Anybody, but certainly Cully to go.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, obviously there's a certain way he puts together a figure, which is just all him and a face. But there's also just a certain compositional dynamic that's very Walt. Certain attitude of figures. There's a certain composition of the page that he does. A lot of diagonal, stuff. And when I say diagonal, I don't mean just tilting the camera. I mean like diagonal composition, like panels and lettering, and even just the way a figure sometimes sort of crosses a panel. It's just very him. Obviously, there's his line. I don't know. There's an unquantifiable thing about his stuff too.
When you talk about his diagonals, I mean, you're talking about, say, diagonals in the service of movement and action and
yes, but also not just in terms of movement and action within a scene, but movement and action across the page. And I think he does it in a way that I don't think I've seen anyone else do. I'm not sure I can even put it into words, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you sort of get what I'm saying? I mean,
I do. It gives me a little. I mean, I really, I love his work, but to be able to verbalize, what makes somebody really good is tough.
Well, I think especially a lot of times I find it's a lot easier if I don't like something to verbalize what I don't like. But when there's something that I do like about somebody's stuff,
sure,
it's usually because it's hitting me on a visceral level, so I can't really say this is good because of this. Yeah. Other than it's more like you tapped into something that if I could quantify it, I would do that. It's like, but I can't. This is something that you do.
Yeah, but his work is incredible. I agree with
Oh, man. Yeah, it's just stunning. I was just not too long ago, I was looking at the X-Men Titan stuff again because of that conversation, because it's just still to this day one of the best comics I've ever read.
Well, and his Orion covers were amazing.
Oh man!
Yeah, you remember?
Yeah.
Can you recall them? Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is you look at the stuff he's doing now, his Ragnarok book, and I mean, he hasn't lost a step.
No, I love it.
It's just really stunningly great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's doing all the things that make him good.
Yeah.
In that project, his design, his sense of detail, yeah, it's really quite impressive. Too bad he's such a horrible person.
I know. What a jerk. The world would be a happier place if he weren't such a jerk. Walt stood straight up in bed just as soon as he said that. Did you catch his appearance on Drink and Draw?
No. He was on Drink and Draw?
He was.
I heard it was good.
It was good.
How we doing, Jason? Any more questions?
Yeah, let's slow down a little bit. Not really. Let's see. Someone's asking for Dave. Well, he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, we got rid of Dave.
Dave, yeah. We had Eric for a bit. But, yeah. Any other questions for the guys here? Just send them out.
Jason, do you have any questions?
It's kind of your job, J.O.B.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of questions.
We have a lot of questions about you.
Well, you go first. I'll go second.
What's your deal? There's my question.
What's your deal? What's your hang up?
What's
Hi,
your
Cully.
dealio?
Cully, tell me a time that you were most embarrassed. One of your most embarrassing things ever happened to you.
You see, I know what you're fishing for.
I'm not fishing for anything. I don't know what you're going to say.
You're fishing for something.
I'm really not.
The time when
this
I was
is what I
most
do.
embarrassed?
No, because Addie and I were talking, and we were saying that when you were at conventions and you walk up to another artist's table or they walk up to your table, it always, no matter who it is, no matter what, it devolves into two questions. What are you working on, and when's your next show?
Yeah.
And how we hate that because we'd rather just go, okay, well, I have nothing else to talk about and walk away instead of asking the questions they have to ask because there's nothing else to ask.
Right.
So I started saying, what was the time you were the most embarrassed? Tell me a time when you broke a bone. I just try to think of a question that's different. So tell me when you were most embarrassed there.
Okay. God, the problem with this question is it's hard to pick because I've been embarrassed a lot in my life.
So just pick one.
Oh God.
The latest. What was the last time?
Latest? Give me 60 seconds to think of this. So riff for the audience for a second while I think of this.
Okay.
Well, hold on. There's another question from Phil and also from Christoph, but it's directed to Mark. Hey, Mark, can you tell us about the process he used on that green Rogue piece, particularly the green acrylics ink phase? Looked beautiful.
Yeah. Let me grab the piece and I can show you because I do better when I'm looking at it to explain it. Okay, so this has been varnished, so it's going to be a little glossy. So sorry about the shine mark on it. But the way it works is I render the whole thing in marker first, which is and I use green markers. Sometimes I'll render something in gray marker first, like a cool gray, and then I'll color over it. But in this case, I went ahead and rendered it in green. But then once I'm done rendering it, I go back over with green Liquitex acrylic ink, which is this stuff. And this is blue, though, obviously not the green that I use. And the great thing is that it's transparent. So all your rendering that you did, once you lay this paint down, you can see your rendering underneath it. And it's just more vibrant. So it brings out this really vibrant green to it. And it also makes the piece just, more permanent. The face rendered in marker, but then I put acrylic on top of that as well. But again, I use transparent acrylic. It's this Createx is actually airbrush acrylics, but I use a brush and see how it says transparent. So, and it's already comes in a flesh tone. So once I've rendered the face, I go over it with this with the transparent acrylic, and it kind of unifies all the colors and makes it just a little more smooth.
Is this just a trial and error to get to this point?
Yeah, just trial and error. I mean, I dilute my acrylic inks with water, and I'll do it in layers if I'm not sure how it's going to lay down. That way, if I do it really lightly, if it's working, I can keep going a little heavier, and basically just building up layers of it, and less likely to make a mistake. And then the background is just the green acrylic ink that I brushed on in various layers, and then I masked her off and used white to kind of push back the background and kind of do this splatter effect, things like that. So
very cool.
Pretty much it. There you go.
Very cool. Let's see. Christoph had another question. Mark Brooks. He's remembering this large, super cool original art of 5, maybe 6 lead female Marvel characters, each before a surfboard.
Oh, yeah.
That was an extra, and that you uploaded on Facebook last summer. Very soon you removed it from Facebook. Can I ask why? Was it an editorial commission?
It was not an editorial commission. It was just a blunder on my part. I've been asked I was going to Hawaii for a convention, and they asked me to do a piece, to kind of promote the show. And so I did that, because I know I'd done other Marvel characters for other shows and never had a problem with it, but apparently you've got to get that kind of stuff approved through Marvel. And I didn't, and I posted it and said, this is for Hawaii. And of course I got an email from Marvel going, they were supposed to ask us before you did something like that. And obviously they didn't. So I just went, sorry, my bad. And took it down. And I'd like to post it up again, which I probably will at some point. But I emailed Marvel a couple of months ago and asked them if it was cool if I went ahead and posted it as just fan art. Mm-hmm. And they asked me to hold off because they said they might have a use for it. So I don't know what that means. I never heard anything since then. So I'm just, honoring them by keeping it to myself for now. But hopefully I'll get to post it at some point.
Nice.
So there you go.
Let's see. There's a question for everyone. Are there areas of your craft that you still struggle with or strive for improvement?
God, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I struggle with literally everything. I think the struggle is the point.
That's right.
I think if suddenly everything's easy for you, I think that's when your work starts to suck.
The best artists in the industry are journeymen. They're always striving, seeking, wanting to get better. You can always tell when you're going to get better when you start getting bored with what you're doing, because it makes you want to experiment.
The best artists are always students.
Yeah.
You never stop being a student. The minute you consider yourself a master of anything is the minute you stop pursuing mastery.
Masturbator.
Yes, that too. Good one.
I just patted myself on the back for that one.
Speaking of embarrassing moments, no, I'm just kidding. By the way, I have not come up with anything. I'm sorry, Mark.
Still can't. So you've never been embarrassed in your life?
That's not true. I've been embarrassed many, many times. I tend to file them away and try to forget about them. Mm-hmm. Like normal people do. And when I'm put on the spot, I sure can't come up with them. And anyway, why would I tell you that?
So I can sock it away and use it later.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay, how about this? I always do this with Addy when we start running out of things to talk about when we're Skyping. I just start asking him questions. So you have no choice. So you have to answer this question, in other words. This is not I wouldn't do it. You can't do that, okay?
Okay.
You have to answer this question. You will switch talents, abilities, skills, styles, whatever you want to call it, with any artist, alive or dead, working in comics. You have to pick somebody.
Okay.
You will forget how you draw entirely. You will take on their style 110%. Who would you choose?
Okay. There are 2 or 3 people I could probably narrow that down to. Klaus, do you have anyone?
I think I would pick John Buscema. I'm thinking John Buscema, Walter. I think Walter is amazing.
Stuart Immonen would be a good one.
Stuart's a good one.
Just in my own
Frazetta.
Backyard of experience, I think Stelfreeze is a good one. Adam.
Adam Hughes?
Yeah, Adam.
Uh-huh.
I love that reaction.
That's interesting. Because you really Adam Hughes?
Yeah, why is that so hard to believe?
Well, because he's not a good storyteller.
You don't think so? Well, but we're talking about their skill sets. I mean, like
Sure.
some people are good storytellers, some people are good figure artists.
Right.
I don't consider myself a particularly good figure artist. I consider myself more of a draftsman and storyteller. So it's like I'm sort of choosing people that
Right.
have like that kind of broader, more illustratory skill set.
Now
So
remember, you're going to lose your storytelling ability, though.
I know that's what I'm saying. But I'm still going to remember that I used to be one, right?
He's already lost.
You can remember it, but you're not. Doesn't
Right.
mean,
So I've already had the experience of being a pretty decent storyteller. So I want to know what it's like to be a guy that can just sort of draw as well as that.
Right. Okay.
Stop picking on me, Klaus.
I look forward to it all week.
What about you, Mark? Who would you?
I want his style. I want his draftsmanship and his ability. I don't want his. And this is what I think. I think it's just strictly ability. That's why I preface it with this, because there's other things that go along, just personality types, that I wouldn't want, because I think it would hinder my ability to create. But I would Travis Charest.
Interesting.
I want his rendering and his draftsmanship. It's uncanny, but I don't want his work ethic, because I think he makes himself crazy.
You mean by working everything over and over and
Yeah.
that kind of thing?
Yeah. Addy always said Bill Sienkiewicz.
That's true. Yeah.
Because he's such a draftsman, and he's so versatile.
He's fearless. That's
Yeah.
that's what I really
Who is?
admire about him. Yeah.
Who is
Sienkiewicz.
Travis? Oh,
No,
Sienkiewicz.
Sienkiewicz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, the audio cut out for a second. I couldn't hear what you guys were saying. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally fearless.
Yeah, Sequestered is amazing.
Yeah, I always thought that was a good answer. It's one of those answers that he answered after I gave my answer, and I went, shit. Forgot about
Who gave you that answer?
Addy.
Oh. I mean, it's sort of a weird question, really, if you think about it.
No, it's supposed to be a weird question. That's the point. It makes you really think about, what it is you like and don't like about different artists. It's And
Yeah,
when
I mean,
I say don't like, I don't mean like as a slam. Just you're like,
What makes it a weird question for me is that I have to say, I really wouldn't want to change places with anybody when it gets down to it.
I know, of course not. That's why I preface it by saying you can't say you wouldn't do it, because of course most of us would say, well, I wouldn't do it. I'm happy with what I do.
Yeah. I worked hard to get what I am and what I have, so it's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's no fun if you can't answer.
right.
How come nobody picked Jim Lee? We were just talking about how good Jim is.
He was actually on my list, but I sort of randomly picked one of the 4 or 5 that I was thinking about.
Well, see, I like painting. I like working in color, and I feel if I took Jim Lee, I'd be reverting back to just working on pencil and ink.
There's another question coming in from John. Did you guys catch the last drink and draw with Jock? His spontaneous, happy accident approach resonates with me. I found it interesting that he admires cleaner, more polished styles, but can't do them. Do you guys find that to be true with your own work? Did your style develop more from what you can't do, or is it your aesthetic something you can consciously developed?
I agree with that statement that your style sometimes evolves from the things that you can't do. And I also think it's true that a lot of times you admire the people that can do what you can't. I just did an interview a few weeks ago with the Shot by Shot podcast, and Brian actually Stelfreeze is the one that interviewed me, and we talked about the fact that the artists that we admire the most are the really simple people, and the people who can kind of they know when to let a drawing go, and you've got enough on the page. And Brian and I both are people that kind of sometimes really go too far and kind of work it and do a background and do crazy amounts of work on the page. And all the people that we admire are the people who are more about contrast and composition. And I think that there is a certain amount of like admiration you have for people who can pull off what you don't. But that said, I look at what you could, sort of laughably call my style, and it's basically based around things that I avoid or things that I, don't think that I do very well, and kind of lean on the things that I do well. And I do think you can get a style out of that. What do you think, Klaus?
I think you're absolutely right. I may be attributing this quote to the wrong person, but I think Neil Adams once said in an interview that your style it consists of how you solve problems, and that all the stuff that you say, like you're really bad at spotting blacks. So your style then consists of leaving it to the colorist, just doing line work. But I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, just me, for example. Like I've never been comfortable with doing a lot of rendering.
Yeah.
So that has led me towards being a more chiaroscuro kind of artist, dependent on contrast. But what's weird is I've developed a rendering style out of that, out of the contrast, that is something that's distinctive to my work, and it took me a long time to get to that place.
Yeah, and that's how you solve the problems.
Yeah.
The absence of, say, rendering. So you're able to solve that problem in a different way.
Right.
It's fascinating. I find it really interesting.
It's fascinating, I think, this particular medium, the way that we sort of have developed an image system that's really just based around black lines. And we have come up with ways to simulate all manner of things and all manner of gradations simply using hard black lines. If you
That's
really
right.
think about it, it's so I don't know if it's unique, but it's certainly really unusual.
Yeah, it's almost counterintuitive in a way.
Yeah.
You know what? If you weren't an artist, what would you do?
That's an interesting question. What's your answer? What would you say?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a lot of different things, but as I got older, and I realized that what I'm really good at is empathy, and so I find psychiatry and psychology really interesting. I'd probably, if I had to do it over, I'd do that.
What about you, Mark?
I'd probably go into radio, to be honest with you. I really always liked the idea of radio. I've always really enjoyed it. Growing up.
A DJ or
Yeah. Like I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy asking questions. I think I've got a pretty decent sense of humor.
Oh, so you would go into like talk radio?
Not necessarily talk. I mean, I could talk music. I always like music. So,
Yeah.
I don't see NPR being in my future if I was in radio. I think I'd be more of I think I'd see myself more as like a morning DJ kind of thing or something like that, or just go into production or something. I don't know, but I've always really enjoyed it. At least I always says I'd be an attorney, because I argue.
Yeah, but that being an attorney is an interesting job too. I mean, I find that fascinating also. It's about presenting your case in a way, making that argument. There's something really fascinating about that.
Oh no, absolutely. I like the idea of it. I don't know how good I'd be at it.
I think teachers do that a lot too. Don't you think?
I think they do. I know I'd be a terrible teacher, though. The few times I've actually tried to do any kind of teaching, I think I suck at it.
Why is
Same
that?
here.
Why? What happened when you tried it?
I'm not very good at explaining what I do. So trying to get up in front of people, and I tend to ramble. I'm not really good at being succinct or explaining
Sure.
what I'm doing. I almost think that when I try to explain what I'm doing, people tend to get more confused. You know,
What do you mean?
I don't know, because I
That was
I
a
think-
joke.
Yeah, right. No, but I think that my method is so self-taught that it doesn't make any sense when applied to trying to teach it, you know, as a technique. I think it ends up being just confusing, because it's like, well, why did you go back and do that? And why did you do this? Why didn't you just do this? That seems like it'd be easier. And I'm like, yeah, it does, but it doesn't work for me that way, you know?
Interesting.
Cully, did you answer that question if you were going to do something else?
I have not. I was letting you two guys go first. I'll tell you two things. I'll
Go
tell you what I would have tried to do, and I'll tell you what I would have ended up doing. What I would have tried to do is I would have tried to go into music, or into being a writer, or tried maybe to be an actor.
Yeah.
What I probably would have ended up doing is working in public relations or in politics.
Politics. I could see that.
I could see myself have drifted around as a failed creative somehow, and ended up working in on a political campaign and falling in love with it.
Yep, I could see that in a heartbeat for you.
Emma, you put
Do you have any regrets, Cully, for not pursuing that?
No, because I think this is what I am. I think I'm doing what I was meant to do. What about you, Klaus? Klaus?
Did we lose Klaus?
Klaus, can you hear Cully?
I can hear now, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
What about you? Do you have any regrets?
You know, I do actually. You know, I keep on thinking about that
Yeah?
scene on the waterfront, you know, in the car. I could have been somebody, you know. I feel like I've never really hit my potential. I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
could
no,
have
to
been
me
an accordion
that's a
player?
different question. I think that's a different question. Like, do you feel like you haven't hit your potential in this medium, or do you feel like there should have been another job that would have realized that potential more?
I think both. I think both, actually. I guess, I don't know. Is that a terrible thing to say? I don't know.
No, that's not. You're just an honest thing to say.
That's so weird to me to hear you say that, Klaus.
The
Because
terrible thing, and you know, not to turn this. Well, the terrible thing that I feel now is I feel the clock ticking. You know.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can certainly relate to the idea of, like, okay, I've now gotten past this age, and I haven't done all the things that I meant to do, or
Yeah.
haven't accomplished the things that I wanted to, or maybe I should have done this or that better, or I should have turned left when I should have turned right, or whatever, you know. But I think a lot of people are like that no matter what you do.
I suspect you're right. I think probably, you know.
Because I look at your career, your career, you've had a model career, in my opinion.
yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Like that's a career to aspire to.
that's extremely nice of you to say. After, you know, really.
It's the truth.
Well, thanks. That's really nice of you to say. I appreciate it. If there's one thing you can say about my work or my career, is that I feel like I've really tried. You know, I've really, really just put in a lot of effort.
What I admire is
You know,
the completeness.
It's a rare day when I'm coasting.
I admire the completeness of what you do, because you've really done it all. If you think about it, I mean, you've penciled, you've inked, you've colored, you've written. There's not a part of this craft that you haven't touched and done really well.
Well, thanks, Kelly. That's extremely nice of you to say thanks. Uh-oh.
Yeah, gesundheit.
Bless you.
And it's nothing to sneeze at, Klaus.
You know, timing is everything.
Was there something you haven't done yet, Klaus, that you still want to do?
I'd like to write and draw a miniseries.
Any particular character?
This career, Jason? This
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to write and draw something.
What would you? Is there anything in particular you would like to try? Like a particular character, or are you talking creator owned? Well, you've written creator owned stuff.
Yeah, and I've co-written stuff also, but I'd like to see if I can do it on my own. You know, just a story with like real meat on its bones. You know, something profound. I think about Eisner often. You know, and what he was doing late in his career. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. That's a guy who managed to keep his creativity all his life.
That is absolutely true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get to meet Jack Kirby, Klaus?
No, I did not. No, I did not. He would come up to the office occasionally and you know, to drop off pages, and sometimes I'd be in the office while he was there, but I was too intimidated, honestly. You know, he would kind of hold court, you know, in the hallway, and people would come around him and gather and, you know, talk to him, and I don't know, I didn't feel like I belonged there, you know.
When you feel that way, is it unusual?
No, that's my default setting.
Really?
That's, you know, it's honestly, that's why I could never go on drink and draw.
Really?
I feel that. I feel very similar to that.
You know what I'm saying, right? You know.
No, absolutely. I am in a constant state of inadequacy.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because that's what goes back to your question earlier about the most embarrassing thing you've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically, when I get that question, I'm on the spot, because I am in a constant state of, just like you said, of sort of anxiety, and did I say something stupid, or did I do the wrong thing, or do any of these people even like me, that kind of stuff, and that question puts me in a state of, okay, if I pick something and I relate it, will I regret it? Should I have said it on a stream? You know, will it be held against me at some point?
Sure.
Will Mark bring it up on a regular basis?
Yes.
So, you know, you sort of played right into my anxiety
all
with
of
that
above.
question.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Leave it to Cully to take something fun and make it all serious. Just kill all the fun out of it.
You see, look, I just right there, I'm embarrassed that I did that. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. I'm here for it.
Thanks for the anxiety.
You're welcome. I got one word for you, Paxil.
I can tell you a time that I felt embarrassed. I was thinking about it. When school started one September at SVA, you know, the first day of class, you know, you want to make a good impression. You want to be cool. You want to be smart. You know, you want to be in control. You want to be all these things. So I sat at the edge of the desk, and the entire desk collapsed.
Oh.
And it just completely blew, you know, the whole shtick.
Wow.
Yeah. How the hell did that happen?
Klaus, I wouldn't even be able to look at you after that.
So cool, completely lost.
Listen, the only edge I had was, that I could fail those fuckers.
See, that should have been your next line. By the way,
That
I
was
can
pretty
fail
funny,
all
I
you
gotta
fuckers. We're going to pretend that didn't happen.
That was fine. What's the difference?
I was at a signing one time, and there was I'm not going to name him, but there was a writer that was at the signing. And, we were behind tables, and we were in these really kind of crappy folding chairs that they had for us at the store.
Sure.
And the writer that was there, big guy, kind of a heavy guy, and I'm sitting like a chair away from him, and then suddenly we just hear this really loud crack, and he goes flying backwards because his chair just finally gave up the ghost under him. And he didn't fall down on the floor. He literally flew perpendicular to the floor about 4 or 5 feet.
Oh,
So he's laying flat on his back, and everybody gets up like you do, make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
And we're all crowding around him, and his eyes are as big as saucers. We're all like, "Are you all right? Are you okay?" And I have to admit, I was asking how he was all right, but it was like, "Oh, are you all right?" I'm trying not to laugh because it was really funny. And the guy just kind of looks at everybody and just kind of says, "I don't know what's more embarrassing, the chair breaking or everyone crowded around me. I really wish you'd all stop looking at me." And we all basically just turned our backs on him, and that's all we could do to help him save face and pretend that it didn't happen. We never spoke of it again.
I have this reaction anytime I do something embarrassing, and I think it was Chevy Chase must have done it in one of the Fletch movies or something. Anytime I do something embarrassing, like fall or something like that, I immediately look at all the people staring at me, and I go, "Oh, how embarrassing for you."
Is that the reaction it gets? Silence.
Oh, that was embarrassing for you.
That's right. Chalk up another moment.
Wow, that works.
See?
Right
Let's
again,
face it,
Mark.
life is just a series of embarrassing moments, don't you think? Come on.
Right. Ain't
Well,
that the truth?
I was talking to Lisa because I do suffer from some anxiety. I'm actually on. When I was joking about Paxil earlier, I'll admit I take Paxil. I'm on it right now for anxiety. But I was looking at some anxiety coping mechanisms. One of the best ones, because Lisa was feeling some anxiety, and I was talking to her through it, telling her what I had learned, and she's like, "Oh, that really works." Think about somebody else Don't think of a best friend. Just think of somebody in your life that maybe is an acquaintance or a little bit of a friend, someone you've known for a long time, and try to think of a time that they embarrassed themselves. Not on purpose. They embarrass themselves. And you realize it's very hard, very difficult to think of a friend of yours, a time when they embarrassed themselves. And because of that, they're thinking the same thing about you. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
If you can't think of an embarrassing thing about yourself, they can't either.
Yeah. Yeah. Gratefully, people don't really remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But they do remember the good stuff you do, and they do remember when you've been a really cool person, and also they remember when you've been a bad person. So it's not in your interest to be a bad person, if you ask me.
You guys believe in karma?
Actually, I do. I do.
Well, karma only applies to the bad, right?
There is something to it, isn't there?
Karma only applies to the bad? Is that what you think?
No.
Yeah, karma is not. There's no such thing as good karma. Karma is all about if you do good things, then that's just what you're supposed to do as a human being. But bad things are what come back on you.
But the absence of bad is good.
No, the absence of bad is nothing. I mean, my phone is neither good nor bad. It is just there. When I'm sleeping at night, I am neither good nor bad. I am a object doing nothing.
Well, I'm fine with nothing. Like I'm good. Like I consider that good. Actually, if I have a peaceful life, I'm good. I don't want the bad stuff, obviously.
But to your question, Klaus, I do believe in some form of karma. I know in the past when I've made a questionable decision, no matter what it is, I'm like, oh, is this going to come back to bite me? Is this, or sometimes if something bad does happen, I'll try to think back, okay, did I do something in the last few days that caused this to come back on me? And I know it's superstitious and silly, but, it does kind of keep me, it's a good barometer for my morality.
I am not religious, but I do think that the universe is beyond my understanding.
Absolutely.
You guys remember that movie, that Woody Allen movie, Crimes and Misdemeanors?
Yeah.
I never saw it.
I would say, Cully, I don't know. What do you think? It's his best movie or what?
I don't know. I don't know if it's his best movie. It's up there.
Yeah, it's really good. But it's about karma. The guy commits a murder and nothing happens to him. Nothing bad happens to him. It's fascinating.
Honestly, the concept of karma is kind of all that's keeping me going right now.
How so?
Hoping that the rubber band will snap back on what's happening right now.
Yeah.
How do you envision it snapping back?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question. I think that at the very least, I think that this election is very, very important. It's coming up. It's all going to come down to if there's any comeuppance after the election, because I have to believe that Trump's not going to win. I don't know if I could get out of bed in the morning if I thought he was going to win another term. He may, but I have to motivate myself to live in this universe somehow. So I have to think that karma is going to figure in this, because he's so uniformly awful. And I'm sorry to anyone who's listening to this, since it came up and the question was asked, who may be a supporter of his, but I'm not down with what's happening right now.
Well, I mean, and again, you're right. I apologize for anybody that is a supporter of him, but the man is absolutely morally bankrupt. And you can argue about other politicians or anything like that, but this is not a case of this is not. Yeah, this is not politics as usual. This is not.
I think Trump is unique in American politics.
Oh, he absolutely is. I mean, he is. I used to say, there's no such thing as monsters. The guy he's literally a monster. He's morally bankrupt. He's corrupt. He's mentally ill. I mean, there's just, again, I apologize to anyone that supports him. Maybe you have your reasons, and it is what it is. But yeah, I'm flabbergasted daily by this man.
How do you explain the intensity of his followers, or the fact that he has followers?
I think that a lot of his followers, and this is where you go, it's a cult of personality, and Trump or Obama was a cult of personality, and I agree to that to an extent, but the problem with his cult of personality is there's a cruelness to it.
Agree.
It's not about. People liked Obama because they felt he was motivational and he was a positive force, or at least trying to be. But there's a meanness and a cruelty that it's like I said, it's like followers out of spite. It's like, I'm not doing this because I believe this. I'm doing this in hopes that it will hurt you.
I also think that there's a certain element of people that have always been like that. I think in some ways the internet is the great equalizer in terms of who has a voice and who doesn't. And I think that his election has given a lot of people permission to act out in ways that they would normally hide.
Yeah.
It's given them license to do and say things that they would normally be under the impression that they'd get a clap back on.
Well, let's also not act like it's not the same on the left, because his cruelty and his inability to monitor himself has also given the left, in some cases, the same permission.
I would dispute that in one way. I think that if you restrict your focus to the internet, you may be right. I think if you widen your focus out to what happens in the world, you don't see lefty demonstrations out in public the way you do right-wing ones now.
No, you're right about that. Guns and just.
If your world is the internet, I think you might have something. But the people that have taken the license of the equality or the sort of equality of attention that you get on the internet, they've taken that and moved out into the larger world and have started acting out in public. You don't see lefties
All right,
yelling
guys.
at people.
It's just getting interesting, but I got to get out of here.
Okay.
Oh, great, Klaus! You brought this up.
I know it's just getting interesting, but hey, dudes, I got a life.
We're gonna get some hate. We're gonna get some hate mail now.
Yeah,
You
thanks,
probably
Klaus.
Again, I mean, I apologize to anybody watching that is a fan of his, and I respect all my fans that I have and that have very kind things to say to me, and I'm absolutely positive some of my fans are Trump supporters, and I am not, and I think this is one of the problems we have, especially nowadays. I am not talking to them. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm railing against one man. I'm not railing against his followers. I may have my opinions, but I'm trying to do my best, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, I don't post politically anymore on Facebook much at all. I'm trying my best to keep my focus, and my focus is on him and his cruelty and his mental illness, and not on the people that follow him or admire him or like him. So if you do, that's fine. I will not make it a personal attack on you as someone, as a fan of his or a supporter of his. Mine is entirely against him, and I would hope that if someone does have a problem with what I'm saying, that they would keep it to how I'm wrong about what I think about him, and not make it a personal issue. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard question, because obviously none of these guys are anything without their supporters, and they wouldn't be able to do what they do without the support of people, without political support. But that said, we do have to realize that people are individuals, and people are they sometimes their support is passive and sometimes it's active, and sometimes you have people who quietly are okay with this, and I don't like that either. But it's a free country. At least for now, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Klaus, you're heading out.
Yeah, I was just listening. It's important to remember, I think, that everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and everybody's entitled to vote for whoever they want. Obviously, I mean, we start with that as a baseline. But you go back to what Marx said, which is that it's very difficult to forgive that level of cruelty, and that is really a good word to describe, babies in cages, or
Right.
or even the threatening to cut off funding, because Michigan doesn't want to open up this weekend.
Right.
There's a level of cruelty to this person that goes beyond policy, and that's a very difficult thing to accept and abide and admire. So that's kind of where I would leave it for today.
I'm with you,
Hey
Klaus.
guys, I'll see you next weekend. Okay.
All right. See ya.
Bye, Klaus.
All right.
Hey, Klaus, before you go, can you show off your piece?
It's upside down. Can you see it? Yeah. It needs a little bit of work, but it's mostly
Nice.
there. You got
Nicely
it?
done.
Oh,
Very
thanks.
cool.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks very much, guys.
All right. See you, Klaus.
Thanks, Klaus.
Hope to see you soon. Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Klaus drops a bomb and leaves.
Seriously.
Well,
No, that's the thing. It's I always try to preface whenever we get in these discussions about that guy by saying to me it's not a Republican thing. I have family that are Republican that I love very much. I have friends that are Republicans that I love very much, and it's not about that at all. This is not a. It's not even. It's so far beyond a right left thing at this point for me.
I have to say I have real trouble, mainly because I find that fact so hard to reconcile, because I do think that this is the culmination of the way the Republican Party's been headed for 30 or more years. And I have a hard time reconciling the fact that I know people who are Republicans that are good people, that I love, that are fantastic people, and yet this movement in that party is what it is. And I do think it's a Republican thing. I do.
I do have to remind myself, though, that if we were to have someone equally as cruel come along and get into the position of power that he's in the Democratic Party, there would be a large number of Democrats that would go along.
Sure, but that's the question: is would that happen? I mean, like, would somebody like Trump come along but be a liberal?
I have no idea.
I guess it's possible, but I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. But then again, I guess I never really saw Trump coming either.
Yeah. Well, I don't think any.
I don't know. I'll admit. I mean, I really struggle with this. I know I get dinged from people for being too political, but a lot of times it's me just thinking out loud. It's like me trying to work through some of this stuff that I just can't understand.
I was driving myself crazy and putting myself into a bit of a depression because of it, and I had to I used to watch CNN all day long, or I would watch MSNBC or listen to NPR or occasionally even Fox News, just so I could get kind of a good barometer of what's going on the other side. I have stopped doing that over the last year. I watch the nightly news every night, the national nightly news. I watch NBC and then ABC, but that is literally it. And I have found myself to be much happier by doing that.
Well, what's funny is I have really come around to the idea that and I'm not a big fan of doing both sides. I think that's disingenuous to me. But I do think that media, in terms of like the electronic media, especially television, is so much about horse race coverage and so much about pitting, one side against the other, that it's not really about it's not really about informing you. It's just about entertainment, So I'm with you. I've actually stopped keeping the news on all the time. I have kind of moved into, I get all my news from reading, from written sources. So it's like I'll read like 15 or 20 news sources a day, that I consider to be reputable ones, and try to triangulate what I think based on what I'm reading. But it takes the breathlessness out of the coverage, which kind of takes your blood pressure down.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, newspapers, it seems like, are the last bastion of reliable journalism.
Yeah. And I will say that even though I think there was certainly a failure in during the last election, I will say that I feel like in a lot of ways, like the print media has really risen to a lot of the challenge in a way that they weren't before it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, not that there aren't still, screw ups, because there are plenty of those. But it's better than listening to MSNBC all day, or God forbid Fox.
Yeah. I think it's also important to realize that that not all, like, people just automatically go, well, Fox lies. Well, so does CNN. I'm like, okay, well, not necessarily. They're not the same, because you have to, not you personally, the royal you, have to realize that there's a difference between lying and sensationalism,
Yeah.
and Fox is outright lying.
Yeah.
MSNBC is lying, not to the extent Fox is, but they're also stretching the truth a lot. CNN is actually much more reputable than MSNBC or Fox, but they're sensationalistic.
I tell you what, though, if you ask your average conservative right now, nowadays, who the most evil television network is, they'll say
They say
CNN,
CNN.
because that's
I
what
know.
Trump says. They
Yeah.
won't even bring up MSNBC. They'll bring up CNN.
Well, they won't bring up. It's a smart move if you think about it, because they know when it comes to MSNBC, no self-loving conservative is ever going to turn that station on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well, except for Trump.
Well, true, but
Trump watches MSNBC all day.
But that's the thing. It's like we, as a nation, we kind of like up until this election, it was always Fox was on the right, MSNBC was on the left, and CNN was the center.
Yeah.
So CNN, if you think about it, is the most dangerous to Trump, not MSNBC, because none of his base is going to watch MSNBC. So they might flip over to CNN. So he's got to go after them.
Yeah. Anyway, we probably talked this subject.
We probably talked too much about this. Yeah, Lisa's giving me the wrap-up signal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, I blame Klaus for this, because I don't think either of us would have gone here if it weren't for Klaus.
Well, Cully, where do we end up going at 9 times out of 10 when we hang out together?
Right, but those are private conversations. That's
true.
That's not us on a stream with an audience of 12 or whoever it is that's watching.
Have we pissed off anybody, Jason?
No, everyone seems to be, all good, except for this guy, D Trump. He's not so happy. So
You want to say tweets about you two tomorrow.
Sorry, Donnie.
All right. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get very far, guys. I kind of knew
it's
I
cool.
wouldn't. I planned on doing this quicker, but as I worked on it, I realized I was really enjoying it, so I wanted to try to make it look really good. So I'll try to finish this up this week and post it on my Facebook, and you can post it on your page if you want to, Jason.
yeah, very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming to hang out.
Of course, man. This is a lot of fun. I appreciate you
cool.
getting Lisa to make me do it.
Yeah, well, we'll send her her checks in the mail.
All right, awesome.
So thanks, Lisa.
I should probably take off too. I'll finish this in a little hungry.
The few guys that commented, everyone, says it's fine. That we would have concerns politically with, different perspectives, but I think as long as we're being respectful of everybody, then there's no real.
As long as you're honest, I think as long as you're honest with kind of where you're coming from on it, and you're not just basically throwing out propaganda,
Yeah. Oh, we all got to be here together. So
Yeah. I mean, again, just keep the cruelty out of it, and I can happily disagree with just about.
Don't
anything.
you tell me what to do. I'll be cruel if I want.
well, it looks like the sun's coming out too over here. So I guess we'll say au revoir, and then hopefully Mark, you could join us in the future sometime whenever you have some more time available to hang.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll get you.
Just talk to Lisa.
We'll
Yeah,
get Lisa. We know how it works.
that's how how I am, how it goes.
That's true.
Oh, we know how you are.
All right, love you guys.
All right, you
all
too.
right.
See you later.
Thanks for coming. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
And once again, it's just you and me.
It's down. Let's see. Mark hasn't turned off his stream, so we can. Oh, no, there he is. I was gonna say we can listen
Is he
in.
gone?
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm starting to need some sustenance here, so I will. There's just not a whole lot left to go on this. I'm basically just doing tones at this point, so I'll finish it up and send you a scan when I'm done.
Yes, and that's for Dan. For
Yeah.
his commission.
Is he
Sure, he'll be
watching?
happy. He was on the outset. I don't know. Danny's still around. I guess not. He
All
said
right.
that you can just give it to me instead.
What?
That you can just give it to me as a gift instead.
Oh, okay. No problem.
No, it looks pretty good.
Pretty.
Yeah. So we've just been raffling some of these off, and basically doing like a crowdfunding commission type thing.
Who are you talking to, B?
Yeah, just in general.
Or the royal we, as Mark put it.
Yeah. Any other plans this weekend?
Work, 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 work. I hate to say it, but I do have a ton of work to do, and I've got to finish it. So this is kind of a break. As soon as I'm done with this, I have to jump back on some pages for something.
Scott, the raffle ended last week. We'll probably do another one this week on Facebook. And basically, we've just been taking 50 names, and then you can raffle how many spots you want for whatever, $6 or $7. So you get a chance to have a nice commission for $7 or $8, whatever it is.
Pretty good deal, right?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea. It seems fun.
Yeah.
Community seems to like it. Gives something a little interesting take.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off, man.
Me too.
So there it is for right now. There's going to be a little bit more to it than that, but that's the direction I'm going.
Very cool.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming in, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, Cully, for taking the time.
No problem. See you guys later.
And yeah, we'll see everyone next week sometime. Have a great weekend.